Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Souls Enterprise. Very delighted today to be co creating Souls Breathwork with you, and possibly, hopefully, a treat for you, at least a treat for me. Wanted to invoke today some crystal consciousness before we dive into our breathwork. At Souls Enterprise, we very much honor transparency and really enjoy sharing some of the things going on behind the scenes at Souls Enterprise, some of the tools that we bring together. And so, without further ado, I'm happy to share about my deep, huge love of crystals and crystal consciousness. And some highfalutin people talk about crystalline consciousness, but we'll just go with a tiny bit of sharing about crystals, and then we'll dive into Soul's breathwork. Crystals is something that I resisted initially for a while. This spiritual lifetime path go round, it seemed way too new agey and way too far out for me. And then my first trip to Mount Shasta, California, spiritual amazing vortex in 2014, I was at a shop and I said, okay, let's try this crystal thing out. And so I got three little crystals, a tiger's eye and a Lemurian quartz, and then a little bit of moldavite. So I really vibed. I vibed with all of them, of course. And that's the first thing about crystals. It's about the relationship. I'm not going to talk too long about crystals because there's so much great stuff online. But yeah, I do want to underscore the relationship that's possible with crystals individually and as a collective. This being invocation, and over, you hear Karuna, Dara, and I invoking the elements and the kingdoms. And we're not dogmatic here, so we let you define those, but there's some general agreed upon things, and naturally, crystals fall into the earth element. Yes, there's fire involved, yes, there's water involved, and air and everything, but by and large, when you hear us invoking earth element, spoiler alert, crystals are part of that in crystal consciousness, big relationship. Also, on the kingdoms, there's the mineral kingdom, which influences us, and also we can have a relationship with. So, want to name that and invoke that when we say invoking the minerals. Spoiler alert, another thing we're invoking is crystals and crystal relating. So I just wanted to put that out there. I already mentioned the relationships. Quick story, sharing my story in relationships. I actually got to back up. Normally, I don't share what's going on behind the scenes too. It actually started in 2013. I got this crystal bead mala in India, in Rishikesh. That was actually the first time I was like, wow, the Himalayan crystals are amazing. And this I really felt. I work really hard to wear this, not all the time, but for all spiritual events. This generally beyond. And this has some totems. There's some shungite here, which is a cool puller of energy. And I got a couple Shiva lingams here and other things on this silver. But normally I keep these inside and don't share them. They're operating behind the scenes because one teacher I was with pointed out how all these Westerners wear malas as like a show to show how spiritual they are. And that resonated. So today, giving you some behind the scenes things of what's going on. Okay, to wrap up my story with crystals and my love of crystals, I got to give one disclaimer. be careful. They can become a little bit addictive. My collection has kept growing and growing and growing, and I'm like, wow. And thankfully, Karuna, bless her, has a couple times told me to slow down a little bit, and that's been good, and I've gotten slow. But yeah, and now whilst traveling, obviously, I only have a couple of crystals with me. So um, yeah, I just wanted to give that warning that as you grow that relationship, you want to maybe be a little cautious and be aware of that piece for some. Okay, so finished up. I bought those crystals in Shasta. That trip, I did a mountaineering and summited Shasta. That was beautiful, and brought the crystals along and started the relationship with them. And then a few months later, in a dream, I think more than one dream, I got this very clear command to get large moldavite. And those of you that know moldavite, it's something else. And I'm like, wow. So I really started a big relationship with moldavite. I don't have many crystals with me, but I'm excited to share some moldavite with you. These are a couple of big ones. Some of you sensitive ones might even be able to feel some of the moldavite energy. Again, I'm not going to go into moldavite deeply here because there's so much on it online. But yeah, this is a nice like 60 grammer and maybe I think 30 or 40 grammer. The energy of moldavite, some experience like, whoa. So I'm delighted to share my friend Moldavite with you. And two more little crystals to share. Vogelkut crystals, I heard about. This is a quartz crystal that's just like incredible. This is the second trip to Shasta when I had heard about Vogelkut crystals. Again, I won't go into depth here, but you might be able to feel how nice it is. And third trip to Shasta, didn't want to get this one, but it made me get it. This is another Vogelkut crystal. And again, yeah, just delighted to share some of the stuff going on behind the scenes at Souls Enterprise, some of the tools we bring in together. And then also Obsidian, or really any black rock, I believe this is Obsidian, really good at taking negative energy and discharging, stuff that builds up. So that is the very brief and very short crystals invocation, because like I said, there's tons of great stuff online. I'm just honored and delighted to share with you my little relationship with crystals, and delighted to talk about them and share them anytime with anyone, because it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful relationship we can have with crystals. Their consciousness and what they hold and what they can communicate, and their love of serving. Yes, Kronos, got a message from Instagram. These are, whoo, yeah. Oh, there they are. Yeah. So yes, delighted to share with you. Okay, without further ado, let's transition into breath work. So thank you for sharing a little bit of crystal love with me. And we can even invoke that crystal energy and bring it into our breath work today. And remember that crystal consciousness is always available. I find the majority of them very friendly and very willing to share. So that will conclude our crystal invocation. Those friends joining us on social media, please come on over to Zoom to start the breathwork. Breathwork, we build a container and we really have a nice time being together with each other, so we don't stream that out like we do our invocations. So right now we're going to end the streaming and hopefully see a couple of you on Zoom. And thank you all very much. See you at Souls Breathwork.